This is dedicated to the homies that was down since day one. Welcome to Drop D.
Welcome back to Quick Hits, a JFK Assassination Research and Study News and Notes podcast. My name is Doug Campbell. I am but half of your hosts. On the other end of this here digital line is my co-host, the lovely and talented Mr. Rob, quote, Big Bad Bob, unquote, Clark of the Lone Gunman podcast. What's up, buddy?
What's up, Doug? I'm not feeling very lovely today, so you pardon my stuffy soundedness.
Dude, it's allergy season. We all sympathize.
But it's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Hell yeah, man. Another Saturday morning discussing this stuff with my friend Rob. Pretty awesome.
That's right. The things we do for you, our lovely, loyal listeners.
I know, man. We get to just hang out and shoot the shit about this stuff. And other people get to hang with us. You know, it's pretty cool. I would do it anyway, even if we weren't doing the podcast, you know? Well.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe not as often. Maybe not as early. I wouldn't do it. Man. Well, we got a lot to talk about, and we're going to, guys, this probably won't be our regular 3-hour marathon. As we say, Rob is a little under the weather today, but we do have some things we want to bring to you and bring to your attention. And one thing is that there was an alleged YouTube confession from a person, anybody who's ever studied the JFK assassination is absolutely familiar with. And Rob, tell us what happened here. Something weird.
Yeah, something definitely weird. And, you know, Doug, you know, with the recent rise of AI, you know, we're starting to get into freaking Terminator country around here. So, you know, with deep fakes and this CGI and AI, what these computers can do and what they've probably been able to do for many, many years, we just haven't heard about it until now, is quite frankly pretty damn amazing. Nuances, the accent, the tones, the speech patterns, things like that, you know. So like when I hear Doug talk, I know that's Doug Campbell.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
That's not anybody else. That's Doug. You know, I recognize that voice anywhere. And to people, you know, familiar with the assassination, you know people's voices. Like, you know, when you hear Bill Frazier talking, you know that's Bill Frazier, right?
Exactly, yeah.
You know, when you hear Lee Oswald talking, that's Lee Oswald, right?
Yep.
And we've all heard Marina. We've all heard Ruth Payne. And so what we're going to talk about today is allegedly, like you said at the top, and there's some Ruth Payne interview out there that sounds exactly like her. It's just the speech pattern is a little off sounding, which kind of caused everybody to say, this is AI. This is AI. This is bullshit. This is, you know.
Yeah.
This is what we've come to now. You got to be very careful about anything moving forward when it comes to confessions and all this other jazz. So without further ado, let's just hear.
Yeah. Let's,
well, first, Doug, before we get there, I just want to play a little something for the listener, just so they can understand how much of a fucking problem this AI thing is going to be.
Yeah, go ahead, man. Do your thing.
Okay, so, you know, if AI can perfectly mimic someone's voice and their tones and speech patterns and everything else, basically anybody can make anybody say anything they want. I mean, with as much audio of me or Doug that's out there in the world on the internet, our voices are out there. Somebody could take this AI and make us say anything, you know, the worst thing in the world, you know.
That's scary as hell, man.
It is scary. But, you know, there's also good things that can come out of this. And I want to play one of them for you right now. All right, here we go. So what if you told, and this is going to put a lot of people out of business, Doug, especially in your industry. So what if you told ChatGPT to come up with a song in the style of certain artists? Okay. Check this out, Doug. Let me know what you think about this.
All right.
Maybe even with like a sprinkle of the Lumineers. And One Republic came together, united, and made a song. That would be a certified, Bob. But how? How could we get these 4 amazing global artists to do that? AI. Let's go. Imagine One Republic, Coldplay, and the bless me, the Lumin. Boom! And then I want this song to be about love and outer space. Okay, it's ready. They named the song Rocket Ship. Let's give this bad boy a listen. I'm a rocket ship, you're my planet. We've reached the time of the night, it's the final stage. When the lights hit the sky and the shimmer in your eye draw a shadow on your face. Okay. And I say, ooh, whoa. I can't, when I lose focus, you still draw me in. Cause I'm a rocket ship, you're my planet. When I lose my grip, you pull me back. And I gravitate towards your madness. I'm a rocket ship, you're my. AI does it again. This is actually my song and it's out now.
Okay.
That's scary. That's actually a hit song.
That is an AI-generated song by some dipshit stoner in his mom's basement, throwing random shit at the wall and seeing what sticks. So that was a combination of like Imagine Dragons, the Lumineers, Coldplay, One Direction, and he told him to make a song about outer space. And that's what it came up with. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. For real, holy shit. And it's getting scarier. Now, this Ruth Payne thing. This is right. It's almost 100% guaranteed to be AI generated. Has to be. It came up on a YouTube channel is where it debuted. It's called Who Let, you guys, you can look this up. Who Let the Truth Out? Ruth Payne Finally Speaks Out. And the name of the channel, it's got it'll say the Lone Gunman Podcast or somebody's name. Sarah Montgomery. Like they misspelled Montgomery. Right. And guys, here's the description, Rob. This was on May 8th of this month. 12 days ago. At the time, it had 154 views. This is what it says, guys. As the British Empire crowned a new king on the 6th of May, on a little-known radio station in regional Victoria in Australia, the truth is being told. This is a weird show. It's not listed on the station's website program guide, but can be heard every Saturday night, on QKR-FM between 6 and 8 p.m. Melbourne time. A former American intelligence agent going by the name of Mac did this interview and broadcast it. Little other information has been given. So, and this is, guys, we've got some examples of the verifiable Ruth Payne that we're going to play as well. Yeah. So you can contrast and compare, but I'm going to note some amazing similarities as we go. So let's start listening to the sound bites, guys. Remember, this is in allegedly in Australia, right here.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're on Radio Free Australia.
Okay, note number one, that guy is not from Australia. That dude is from Alabama, 100%. Probably central Alabama, I'd say, Rob, based on the accent. All right, here we go. Rob, I'm going to play this. This is kind of a rambling. This is the host, this alleged intelligence agent guy talking to Ruth Payne, and it's a little bit of a long clip, but it takes him a really, really, really long time of just fucking wandering to get around to asking his question. So here is Mr. Mac questioning Ruth Payne.
And we are joined here today by somebody I've been wanting to speak to for a very long time, and that is the one and only Ruth Payne, who's well known in schools research circles. Ruth, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hello there.
Now, I know that you've basically told the one story for the past, 60 years. I'm well aware of that. However, I do have one query about something you said in an interview only a few years ago. That was in regards to your accounts of Marina Oswald, Lee Harvey Oswald's wife, her reaction to the news of President Kennedy's assassination. You said that you were watching the parade live on television, and you were speaking to her. Obviously, she didn't understand English, and you were speaking to her in Russian about what had happened, or as it was occurring in real time. And you said that you were in tears, and she was in shock, and it was quite an emotional moment. But the query that I had with that was that the Kennedy procession was not actually broadcast live on television. Live television was interrupted. The recordings of that still exist today on WFAA-TV in Dallas and several other affiliate stations of the ABC in Dallas interrupted their regular programming at that particular time to show the Kennedy assassination as the news broke. The Zapruder film, which was suppressed for years, was actually shown within about 3 hours of the actual assassination. Zapruder, they actually managed to bring him into the studio. They interviewed him, and they converted his film right there at the television studios. And of course, that film was suppressed for many years. But I do query your claim that you watched the Kennedy procession live, because.
Okay, what he's doing, guys, he's questioning her story that she watched the motorcade live on TV. But it wasn't live on TV, Rob. What he's saying is the news broke in with a story. Now, did Ruth actually say that, or did she say, is her story always been that they were watching TV and saw the breaking news? Is he correct about that? Do you know?
Well, he's not correct about a lot of shit so far. So...
yeah.
Probably not. I can't see Ruth saying they were probably watching TV and it broke in, and they were aware that the president, of course, was going to be coming through town that day.
Yeah. And
they were probably watching the soap opera or something, and it cut in on them. Says the president has just been shot.
Yep. Now, here's where the alleged Ruth Payne answers, but she does not answer the question, Rob. Instead, she completely dodges that subject and takes the opportunity to say one of those things that people like us have always hoped she would. Check this out.
I've been asked about this a lot over the past 60 years. As you get older, things change, and you start to see how things that you did in the past for a better future may have caused the opposite to happen. I just want to come clear about something people have asked me for years, that both myself and my husband were both employed by Central Intelligence as handlers.
Thoughts, Mr. You want to hear that again?
No.
Thoughts, Mr. Clark?
Like you said, this is something that we've been waiting for her to say for 60 years. Okay?
Yeah.
So, of all the relationships that she has with various researchers or authors out there, and, even the guy, Max Good, that did the documentary on it, she chooses some random fucking pirate radio station in Australia to come out and say this shit? Like,
man, Ruth Payne, the real Ruth Payne, would call a press conference if she were going to do that.
Yeah, or at the very least, she would call up Max and say, bring your cameras, I got something to say,
Yeah, or somebody, right?
Something.
Yeah. But the voice, dude, the voice. All right?
Yeah, because I think Joe Elizio, he's like a researcher out there, and Ruth Payne has given him a lot of her things and material related to the assassination over the years. So, she does have good relationships with certain researchers out there.
Yeah.
And documentarians. And like you said, this doofus who claims it's a Zapruder film was shown on national television 3 hours after the assassination because they developed it right there at the radio station. or at the TV station.
Man, he's done his homework.
Yeah.
He's done his homework.
He sure has.
This is it. Oh boy. Okay, now let's do a voice comparison with the verifiable voice of Ruth Payne. All right, here we go.
It's quietly appreciative, I think. He didn't say much. He didn't talk much. He didn't talk about himself. He talked a few times with my former husband in English, so they could get into a political discussion. But it was clear to me that if you disagreed with him, you weren't a friend.
Okay. The Australian confession, Ruth Payne.
You know, I've been asked about this a lot over the past 60 years. As you get older, things change, and you start to see how things that you did in the past for a better future may have caused the opposite to happen. I just want to come clear about something people have asked me for years, that both myself and my husband were both employed by Central Intelligence as handlers.
That genuinely sounds like the same person, but one's on the telephone.
Right. And
yeah.
The real Ruth Payne, of course, sounds a little older. Like her voice is a little more broken down due to age. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a little slower on certain syllables, but audibly, it sounds like 99% close. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, man. There's
pretty dead balls accurate.
The tone, and there's something about her voice, about the way she speaks, that whoever did this got exactly right. And if you listen to the real Ruth Payne, there's a way that, like, when she ends a sentence, her voice kind of lilts off just a bit into sort of a gravelly, scratchy kind of thing. Like at the very end of a sentence. Listen to this again here. Listen.
It's quietly appreciative, I think. He didn't say much. He didn't talk much. He didn't talk about himself. He talked a few times with my former husband.
And then the other one here.
Just from your own personal take, what do you think happened there? What do you think the reasons were?
With what I know now, I suspect that Oswald might have been responsible for the anonymous FBI tip on the 2nd of November that stifled the planned Kennedy assassination in Chicago. As far as conspiracies go, this wasn't something we were in the decision-making process of. We were intelligence agents following the directives of our superiors. We did so with the understanding that this was in the country's best interests.
Yeah, dude, that bit about the Chicago tip, that sounds like info somebody fed into something. It sounds like regurgitation.
That's Judy Very Baker bullshit there. But also that clip of Ruth on the show is speaking way too fast. Like, there's no pausing. It's not how she actually talks.
Right,
in real
right.
life.
It's just a regurgitation of... And part of it, there are parts of it that sound edited.
Yeah.
Especially between the questioner and the Ruth Payne voice, where it's edited too quick. She responds just like a tick too fast, for it to be natural.
Maybe he had to edit out the, when she and Marina used the 69 on the couch.
Maybe he doesn't have a pro like Momo, over here editing things together.
No Pro Tools.
Yeah, no Pro Tools. Momo, you're the man, brother.
How much obliged?
Yeah, don't worry about it, dude. Let's see. Okay, here's another clip of the alleged, most likely AI, Ruth Payne saying shit that we always hoped she would.
Yes, you were following orders. How do you look back on the proceedings and events now?
Regret started right away. Michael and I were always distant from one another, but there was an unspoken distance that developed immediately following the events. In intelligence, our operations are usually low profile and away from public scrutiny. This was a domestic operation that the whole country was witness to and demanded answers. I stuck to my story because that's what was demanded from me.
See, Rob, shit we always hoped she would say.
Yeah. I mean, this is like Christmas in May. I mean, but
Yeah.
it's not,
Yeah.
folks. This is AI, 100% AI bullshit. But
Deep fake bullshit. And this, Rob, I got one more clip here. It's about a 2-minute clip. This is the one to me that sounds the most deep fake AI. Cool? All right, let's see.
Yep.
Kick it, Momo.
How have things changed? What's happened since that time that perhaps back then you didn't anticipate or would never have expected would have happened?
What we were assured we were protecting. Traditional family values has been flushed down the toilet over recent years by greedy corporate technological giants. I grew with a father in government. My sister, too, was a full-time agent. We did so with the understanding that we were contributing to the protection of America.
What your role was. How is it that you would like to be remembered?
Although agency work requires some disinformation, the one thing that I always stand proudly...
I know you remain quite active.
You see what I mean about the quick edits?
And also as a teacher, and quite interestingly enough, in later years, I believe you studied and practiced psychology.
I worked as a psychologist during my years after leaving the agency. It was because of the exposure I received from the Assassination and Warren Commission, which prevented me from being an effective field agent. The years of experience that I had both first-hand and second-hand through members of my family allowed me to move on to the world of psychology quite easily.
Yeah, that really seems like a interesting, having worked in...
Okay, that's about the end of the interesting stuff. What I noticed one sentence, she said, I grew with a father in government, not I grew up with a father in government.
right.
Guys, it's a lesson. Even when you're typing into AI, you gotta proofread, people. Gotta proofread.
Yep.
Gotta proofread. One more time, Rob, with the real, verifiable Ruth Payne.
For instance, he had given Marina and me a telephone number to call if the baby came when he was at work. Baby came on the 20th of October, and that was a Sunday, and he was there. Our arrangement was he would come out weekends.
And one more time with the fake AI.
You know, I've been asked about this a lot over the past 60 years. As you get older, things change, and you start to see how things that you did in the past for a better future may have caused the opposite to happen.
Dude, you're exactly right. It sounds like a younger Ruth Payne on the telephone. Man.
Yeah, younger, sped up Ruth Payne.
How long before I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a trip, dude. I don't know what to think about that,
Yeah, well, anybody that has a voice out there on the internet, beware, because,
Oh, whoa, shh, man, don't give these douchebags any ideas. I mean, our listeners, the bad people out there, any ideas?
Well, I mean, it's quite obviously not going to be us. We would be able to pick it apart just like we did this Ruth Payne audio.
Yeah.
Unless it's really good,
Hey, let's face it, man. If you were to go back through at least my archive on the Dallas action, there's all kinds of shit I said already to be embarrassed about that I actually did say. So what would be the point,
Right. We are not politically correct anyway, so,
Oh,
whatever.
my Lord, man. If they saw the memes we swap back and forth. Wow, dude. Can you imagine?
Oh, we'd be in trouble.
Oh, boy, we'd be in trouble. Well, guys, that is the attempted deep fake hoax attempted to be perpetrated on you and I and Rob and everybody like us. Don't fall for it. Be very, very, very careful. But we thought that was interesting as hell, man. We wanted to let you guys know.
Don't believe the hype.
Don't believe the hype. Hey, Rob, dude. It's time for Doug's document study segment. This is usually what you do, man. You usually bring the weird documents to read, but I actually have one myself this time, brother.
Sweet.
I know. It's just a document file. We do that. We do this here occasionally. We find one that's just kind of curious and kind of strange and interesting, and in the declassified JFK files, and we like to pass them along to the listeners because it's a lot of fun. Because those of us who are in this thing deep It's what we do. We study documents. Unlike the 3 or 4 top L. Fletcher Prouty defenders out there, they read 2 books and stopped. Those people don't read documents. They'd know better if they did. Oliver Stone reads documents. He knows better. But this one here, this document file I want to share with everybody, comes from the recent April 27th, 2023 release of previously redacted JFK records, Rob. And it's probably already out there, and the story's probably known. And there are probably old boomer researchers out there that have known about this for 30 years from a previously redacted version. But you know what? I didn't. So there you go. It is dated 1 month and 12 days after the assassination, Rob. And this document deals with Oswald, a controlled CHICOM agent, dude.
What is a CHICOM agent? Chinese
communist.
Oh.
Yeah, dude, you're. I know the Cold War was a long time ago, but you're slacking on your Cold War slang.
Yeah, the CHICOM you don't come across very often. Yeah.
Ruskies, CHICOMs, that kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Freedom fighters,
Them old slant-eyed communists, yes, sir.
Oh, man. Really, dude? That was
not... AI, by the way. Who said that?
I think Momo's been doing some AI shit on us. I think he might have slipped that in there. Number 1, Momo, bad Momo. Number 2, way to think ahead. Okay. This document is dated, what did I say? 1 month and 12 days after the assassination. And it's pretty interesting. It says unclassified record and routing sheet. Memo 3, January 1964, Rob. And it says this. It's a CIA document. Memorandum for the chief of WE2. What is WE? I don't even know. And I know WH is Western Hemisphere and blah, 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 WE. Western Europe. Oh, Western Europe, yes. Because,
there you go.
Yes, because it came through Sweden. Chief, Western Europe. Attention, Mr. Charles Kitely. Subject, technical analysis of letter and envelope alleging Oswald under control of CHICOMs. And it is a reference to a memo dated 13 December 63. Now, this is the analysis of the letter and the envelope, Rob. In response to referenced request, an original typewritten letter and envelope addressed to the American Embassy, Stockholm, Sweden, were examined in order to determine the origin of the letter and the nationality of the writer. The following conclusions were drawn. The typewriter in question is equipped with an obsolete style of German-made type, which, according to our references, was fitted on a number of typewriters made in Germany during the 1920s. The possible makes would be Stower, Torpedo, Mercedes, Urana, Orga, Fortuna, Continental. Of these makes, the Torpedo, Mercedes, and Rheinmetall and Triumph were probably the most widely distributed. The machine in question is equipped with a black and red ribbon. The keyboard is very probably Swedish, as shown by 2 strike overs. Umlaut U for hyphen and Z for A. These characters are adjacent on the standard Swedish keyboard. This is some in-depth analysis, Rob. In-depth.
Yeah, somebody got themselves a genuine old Nazi-ass keyboard.
Damn, for real. Says the paper of the letter is of the international standard, size A4, which is almost universally used in Sweden. The lined textured stationery seems to be rather common in Sweden. The envelope matches specimens of Swedish envelopes taken from postal intelligence files. The letter was posted from Stockholm Post Office, which is located in the Central Railway Terminal in Stockholm. All mail deposited in street mailboxes in this area or in the post office would be processed through this station. The postage is correct for Swedish internal mail, and the postage stamp is of current use. And then finally down here, it says, in summary and based on the above information, it is concluded that the letter was transmitted via normal Swedish postal channels. The letter is probably a crank letter, most likely written by a Swede. Now, Here is the letter, Rob, dated November 25th of 1963. Anonymous letter states, well, it's actually not anonymous. There is a Chinese name attached to it at the end here. The President of the United States, it reads, John F. Kennedy was assassinated by Lee H. Oswald by direct order of the government of the People's Republic of China. Lee H. Oswald executed the act alone, but there were helpers and reserve. Now all is over was password to his customers, which would indicate that he was hired. Oswald was fully convinced communist, but he must assassinate Kennedy. We established contact with Oswald already when he was in Soviet, but then to try to get him as spy for China. Later, he was spy for us. When Lee H. Oswald had returned for USA, we contacted him anew and freshened up his mind. You have been a spy for us, and told him what could happen if FBI got informed. Now we had him. He got his last information in Mexico. It was not good to assassinate Kennedy in Mexico. Fair play for Cuba was started only to confuse and throw the blame on Castro for the assassinated. Our government thought... Do what? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Can you read the rest of the letter in your best Chinese interpretation?
I don't know if I do
because whoever typed this typed like Chinese people talk.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
When they sing Christmas carols, it's fa ra 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 ra. No, man, I'm going to let you do it. You want me to send you a screenshot so you can read some of it?
No. Please continue.
We need a Chinese Dago reading this.
Oh, your Lee H. Oswald.
He would eat and stuff.
He would just eat them and stuff. He don't swing that way.
No, not Dago. Our government says the erstwhile whistleblower Chinaman in 1963 thought that USA should attack Cuba when Kennedy was murdered, as the organization was behind the assassination. So this guy's saying that China was trying to provoke a U.S. invasion of Cuba the same way that some believe that the people who did kill Kennedy were, like the anti-Castro Cuban crowd and the mafia and, intelligence, sort of going for the same thing is what he's saying. It says, when Cuba was attacked by USA, Soviet must help Castro defend himself. If that was so, it would burden Soviet that Oswald had visited. We should be allied with Soviets. Then we would ask them for A-bombs, and they would not be able to refuse. So, according to the guy in the letter, the assassination was like geopolitical chess for the Chinese. Right? Am I reading that right?
Yeah.
I guess,
think so.
Yeah. Because this would have been before the opening up of China, by Nixon. By what? 8 years, 10 years, something like that?
Yeah, a lot of time.
Yeah. We and Soviets should win this war and whole world be communistic.
Whole world be communistic.
Then we should assassinate Khrushchev and other Soviet leaders, and we would be leader of the new world, and that is capitalized and underlined. When this letter will reach you, then they have maked away with me and all that knowed the plains. I think what he meant to type there was all that knew the plans, but all that knowed.
All that knowed the plains.
Yeah, this letter is outsmuggled from our embassy in Stockholm, where the embassy is a Chinese spy school. Well, I mean,
everybody.
My name is, and I know I'm not going to pronounce this right. I'm going to pronounce it phonetically. My name is Ryo Liang Yuan, officer in the Department for State Secret. If you do not believe this letter, explain our hate to USA. That's the end of the letter.
I am Officer Royal Long Wong.
Yeah. Long Wong?
Long Dong, yes.
Long Wong. But I thought that was a little interesting. You know, we've actually shared those kind of anonymous letters, several of them, over the past few years on Quick Hits that we found in the files. And it's just always all kinds of crazy shit. But personally, guys, I do not believe myself that the Chi-Coms sent Oswald. I think it's kind of ridiculous. What do you think, Rob?
Yeah, that sounds like some Chinese runaway who's attending our Schweitzer College there.
It definitely seems to me like somebody in Sweden pretending to be Chinese, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, guys, we are going to take a little quick promo break, and we're going to come right back, and we've got more and more topics to discuss with you on Quick Hits right after this.
And now it is time for your periodic reminder that Oliver Stone thinks that Fletcher Proutz's Ed Lansdale stories are a fucking load of bollocks.
I've heard so much. Fletcher, of course, told us a lot about Ed. He always suspected Ed Lansdale was there at Dealey Plaza because there's a vague photograph and there's a ring on his finger, which is ONI, I believe, Office of Naval Intelligence. And Fletcher really directed a lot of venom at Lansdale, and I never understood why. And then over the years, you hear about that operation. Mongoose was a failure, complete failure, and the CIA was undermining it from the beginning because they didn't believe that Lansdale had any business in a paramilitary operation that they were organizing. That was their deal. They were hiring people like Johnny Roselli and Sam Giancana. They were doing their thing in Cuba. And they resented this because Kennedy was trying to control the experiment, the assassinations and all that shit by focusing it in Mongoose. So Mongoose was the opposite of what the CIA really wanted. They wanted it to fail. So I've never been able to find anything on Lansdale relating him to the assassination. You read about him. He's a different kind of individual. He doesn't fit into the CIA operation. Doesn't fit into the picture.
This has been your periodic reminder that Oliver Stone thinks that Fletcher Proutz's Ed Lansdale stories are a fucking load of bollocks.
Hey, everybody, this is Doug.
And this is Rob, and we want to take a few to tell you about a book, an analytical study, if you will. This is a must-read for anyone wishing to separate good information from misinformation when studying the JFK assassination. And that book is Judith Very Baker, in her own words, by Dr. Walt Brown, Ph.D., available now from Campania Publishing Partners.
The stories and out-and-out myths told by Baker are controversial to say the least. And in this book, Dr. Brown gives analysis of Baker's own words as published in her own books, using logic and reason and intellectual vigor to see if Baker's claims add up and stand up.
As fantastical and amusing as they are damaging to our mission, the claims made by Baker over the years that Dr. Brown scrutinizes in his new book, Judith Very Baker, in her own words, from Campania Publishing Partners, include countless admissions throughout the text of her books of the commission of felonies by Baker herself, that New Orleans pervert and friend of Lee Harvey Oswald, David Ferry, couldn't fly his airplane without Oswald.
And that the Secret Service actually enlisted the help of Lee Oswald in preparing for Kennedy's visit to ferret out alleged sniper's nests or potential sniper's nests, that Lee Oswald carried uranium in his children's diaper bag as part of some nefarious plot involving rogue scientists,
that she once successfully impersonated a pregnant Marina Oswald, and that Lee Oswald conducted target practice with live ammo in broad daylight in a public park on weekdays, shooting leaves off of trees. and of course, that she repeatedly had sexual intercourse with Lee Harvey Oswald in 1963.
That's Judith Very Baker, in her own words, by Dr. Walt Brown, a critical analysis of the allegations that have divided a research community for years, available now from Campania Publishing Partners.
Find it now at Amazon in both Kindle, which is very affordable at $2.99, and paperback editions. That's Judith Very Baker, in her own words, edited and with commentary by Dr. Walt Brown, using fact to fight fiction. Get your copy today.
And we are back. Part 2 of Quick Hits, episode 44. My name is Doug Campbell. With me is Rob Clark. JFK Assassination Research news and notes shall continue now. Rob, you're up, sir.
Doug, thank you. All right, so it wouldn't be Quick Hits if we didn't get into some shit, right? So the first quick hit I've got, Doug, is a FBI memorandum dated August 21st, 1968. And it's from the special agent in charge of Baltimore to the special agent in charge of Dallas.
Okay.
And also Memphis. Enclosed herewith for Memphis and Baltimore is one of Dallas teletype to Oklahoma City, dated 4/24/68. The Dallas Times Herald advised that it appeared to him that the alleged newspaper artist's sketch appeared to have been made by someone who was looking at the photo of the unknown lookalike. Both photos furnished by the Baltimore office of the FBI. He advised that Bill Allen is now employed by the API at Little Rock, Arkansas. He produced the negative from which the close-up was taken. It shows a Dallas police officer leading 3 men, followed by another police officer, away from the front of the schoolbook depository. So here, they're talking about the tramp photo, right, Doug?
Right.
Yes. Now, this is prime Garrison investigation time. Okay, we got the FBI looking into the tramps photo, right? So on May the 15th, 1968, the FBI went back to the Dallas PD and interviewed Bill Bass of the Identification Division, Dallas PD, identified the officer leading these 3 men as himself and stated that on 11/22/63, the date the photo was taken, he, Roy Vaughn, and Marvin Wise had found 3 men in a boxcar about a mile away from the schoolbook depository down the railroad tracks.
A mile?
Yeah. So, it says they brought them to the Dallas County Sheriff's Office and turned them over to an unknown deputy sheriff. He did not know the names of the 3 individuals and did not know if they were booked. Wise and Vaughn advised that they could add nothing to the information furnished by Bass, confirmed what he had furnished, and yeah, that's about it. So, folks, these 3 tramps found on a boxcar a mile away from the schoolbook depository.
A mile?
A mile.
I guess it makes sense if in the aftermath of the assassination, these cops, they had their cruisers and shit right around Dealey Plaza, and they were fanning out doing a, dragnet kind of thing, and just found themselves a mile away from their cruisers and then had to walk back. It would be interesting if we knew what time, how long after the assassination were those tramps photos allegedly taken? Because it takes a little while to walk a mile, and if you're searching the tracks and you walk a mile away, and then you got to find these guys and walk back to be photographed in Dealey Plaza.
Well, some of these nerds out here have done shadow analysis on the tramp photo and determined it to be somewhere around 2 to 2:30 p.m., which sounds about right.
Okay, so a couple hours. I guess that would be time enough to get, a mile away, find some vagrants, and march their ass back to Dealey Plaza where your cruiser's parked. So that makes sense, yeah. Yeah,
if they're back there and their deal is to go check the boxcars and, sometimes trains are very freaking long. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it might take them a while to, to go back there and go down through the boxcars and, all of a sudden, here you go. Now, of course, this is an estimation because, of course, they didn't have a pedometer. They didn't have a car.
Yeah.
So it might have felt like a mile to them. It might not have been a mile.
It could very well have been like a half a mile. Yeah.
But needless to say, it was not in the railroad yard directly behind the Grassy Knoll. Okay. So, and like I said, Bass said that, and the other two agreed and had nothing to add to it. So,
and that is instructive, and that's the kind of information that we need to, put in our info bank, for further analysis. That's more context. Well, if they were, 3/4 of a mile away, and not found in the railroad yard, right there adjacent to the book depository, then that's very instructive on what we can cross off some lists, right?
Right. Yeah. I think we can safely say that the three tramps, at least in this photo, had nothing to do with anything. So, at least being that far away. Now, maybe they ran that far away, but there's something to be said about two sets of tramps rested that day and all kinds of other stuff. But.
Yeah. Now, the older tramp, the older of the three, I don't see that guy running a mile anywhere for any reason.
No, maybe heavily stumbling.
Yeah.
Shuffling. All right. The next thing I came across Doug, and I thought it was a really good analysis of Oswald getting back to the rooming house and the Tippit murder.
Oh,
and
excellent.
It was a theory that I had not heard of before, but I like it. And I have no idea where this came from. I mean, I know where I got it from. Excuse me. I got it from the John Armstrong Baylor University repository of stuff, but I have no idea who the author of this is. It's very clearly it looks to be an FBI document. It says released per PL 102526 JFK Act 101097. But it's quite obviously a written narrative by someone. So it starts out, it says, did not take Jack Ruby, of course, long to get word that the president was dead. An official statement had been issued at about 1:25 p.m. and at 1:40 p.m. Jack was back at the Carousel Club. And at 1:51 he called Ralph Paul and spoke with him for 3 minutes while a radio at the Carousel played in the background. At about 1:55 p.m. the first news came over the air about the death of Officer J. Larry Crayford, a Carousel employee, recalls the scene. Quote, Ruby said he knew Tippit, and Ruby referred to him by his first name or a nickname, neither of which I can remember now. He said he knew him quite well. He was definitely referring to J.D. Tippit, the Dallas police officer who was shot on the day of the assassination, end quote. Andrew Armstrong, Ruby's barman, heard Ruby say the exact same thing. Shooting Oswald, Jack denied that he had known Officer J.D. Tippit. He says, quote, I knew another Tippit in the Special Service Bureau. Evidence to the contrary was supplied by Eva Grant, who told reporters, quote, Jack knew J.D. Tippit. I knew him too. He used to come into both the Vegas Club and the Carousel Club many times. He was a fine man.
Now, I believe I've read that before. You know it?
Yeah.
I do believe I've heard that before, that she made that statement more than once.
Stella Kaufman, who had been employed by Jack as a head waitress from 1948 to 53, told the FBI Officer Tippit had patrolled the area of the Silver Spur, which Jack used to own. He made numerous visits to the club and was a close friend of Jack's. It did not take long for the significance of the radio broadcast to register in Ruby's mind. Tippit had failed. The job of killing Oswald had become incumbent upon Jack.
So it's fallen to me.
So, yes. Now, why did Tippit fail? Okay. Tippit had failed because of two factors that Ruby had not accounted for, Doug. One was Oswald's superior intelligence, and the other was bad luck. So Tippit and Ruby's bad luck began seconds after the fatal shots rang out in Dealey Plaza when Officer Baker, a motorcycle cop assigned to the motorcade, noticed a flock of pigeons fly off the Texas Schoolbook Depository roof.
I was reading
Much
about
like in the
that
movie
just last
JFK.
week in something. You know it?
Yeah.
The flock of pigeons. I can't remember what I was reading, looking around, digging around, research, document stuff. But yeah, that actually came up. The pigeons.
Yeah. And then Howard Brennan said he saw Mike Tyson on the roof saying, "Fly, be free."
Mike, that reminds me. Have you ever seen Mike Tyson Mysteries?
No.
The cartoon show?
No.
You need to watch this, dude. It's like he travels around with like a Scooby-Doo type gang solving mysteries, but it's adult-oriented. It's hilarious. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt.
But I did see RFK Jr. on his podcast, Hot Boxing with Mike Tyson.
Did he get high with Mike?
I don't know that he actually smoked it, but Mike was smoking, so he may have gotten a good contact by the end of the interview there.
Oh, yeah, he was hunting the Cheez-Its when he got out of there.
Oh, yeah, he was. he wasn't stuttering after there, that's for sure. Let's see, where was I? Baker dismounted and ran to the book depository, up the stairs, and into a room where Lee Harvey Oswald was having a Coke. Baker sensed there was something suspicious about this guy and stuck the barrel of his revolver in the cage.
Right.
A few seconds later, Lee's boss identified him. "He works here." And Baker continued his search. Oswald, who knew the assassinations was going to take place but did not know where, had been taken by surprise by the shots. He knew that if the killing occurred in his vicinity, his background as a, quote, leftist extremist would make him a prime suspect. Then, only seconds later, a Dallas police officer was on his case. Oswald got out of the book depository as soon as he could and boarded a bus at 12:40 p.m. The bus he got on was the first one that came along in front of his rooming house, and as soon as he was clear of the book depository area, he got off and took a taxi to the 500 block of North Beckley, 5 blocks south of his rooming house. Why did he do that? Well, Oswald got out of the taxi cab at approximately 12:55 p.m., made sure no one was following him, then began walking to the rooming house at a rather brisk pace. By 1 p.m., Oswald was a block away from his rooming house when suddenly he stopped dead in his tracks. Oswald had spotted the same cop who was eyeballing him in the Dobbs House restaurant driving slowly past the entrance to 1026 North Beckley. Tippit was waiting for a signal from, quote, the finger. I'm guessing was Earlene Roberts. Her old crooked, thick finger.
I've never seen this. Is it look like a piece of kielbasa or something? What's going on with that?
Well, yeah, it looks much like a witch's finger, very crooked and yeah.
So the finger is slang for somebody that's going to finger somebody, like point to, like that's the person you're supposed to hit right there, right?
Right. Yeah. So Tippit was waiting for a signal from the finger, regarding Oswald's whereabouts. Lee began to realize that he had been patsied and was scheduled to be eliminated entirely very shortly. When Tippit drove off, after not receiving the finger signal, Oswald ran into the house with unusual haste, changed his clothes, and grabbed his gun, a Smith & Wesson .38 caliber revolver. Earlene saw him leave about 2 minutes after he entered. A few seconds later, she went to the window and noted the direction in which he was heading. 7 minutes later, Tippit was back. This time, she was able to point him in Oswald's direction. Tippit found Oswald around 1:15 p.m. about 1 mile from the rooming house and pulled over to where Oswald was walking. Tippit motioned to Oswald, beckoning him to approach his car. When he did, Tippit looked at him through the right front window. Upon recognizing Oswald, Tippit got out and started to walk around the front of the car. As Tippit reached the left front wheel, Oswald pulled out his revolver and shot Tippit in the stomach and head 4 times. Tippit died instantly. Oswald emptied the spent shells from his revolver, then reloaded it, and while he was making his escape, as he passed a taxi driver parked on the corner, he muttered, "Poor dumb cop," to himself. Right?
Yeah, I've heard that before.
I was just thinking that is now while that entire scenario might not be totally 100% accurate as to how kind of things kind of played out. That we know, at least from what it appears to look like, is that Tippit was hunting Oswald. Okay.
Yeah.
Because of, we have reports of him sitting at the Good Luck Oil Company station right over the Houston Street Viaduct.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you.
It appears that he was sitting there. Yeah, it appears he was sitting there and waiting for Oswald to leave the scene, the Dealey Plaza scene, in some kind of vehicle. And Tippit was to intercept him at some point, maybe. I don't know. But according to interviews with all 3 witnesses at that Glucko station, they said that Tippit sat there for a while and then just tore ass out of there, heading in the direction of the cliff. We also have a report of Tippit running in the Top 10 record store and making a phone call. Pulling a car over and kind of looking in the back of it, but not really saying anything and just kind of leaving. So it would appear that he was kind of hunting Oswald. Now, this early in the game, Doug, the Dallas police, the FBI, and the Book Depository people had no idea where Oswald was staying as far as his rooming house address. Okay?
Yeah.
So I was thinking to myself, there had to be a reason Oswald got dropped off 5 to 7 blocks past his rooming house, took the cab there, right?
Right.
Like, why wouldn't you just say, take me to 1026 North Beckley? Okay. So maybe he did, but as he rolled up there, he saw a police car at Beckley. So he told the cab driver, hey, keep going. Actually, drop me off up here at the corner of this and that, right? And he kind of walked back slowly and then waited until the police car left. And he kind of hauled ass inside there, changed his clothes or whatever, grabbed a gun and left. And then whoever was in the cop car, when Earlene got the old tit or whatever, where she was sitting there at the window and she looked out and saw there was a police car there, the Dallas police car. I think she said it was 207, and it appeared to be 2 people inside of it. And, she may have given them a signal like he went that way or threw her hands up. I don't know which way he went, type of thing,
Yeah.
Because at some place like a adult rooming house like this, the chances that the cops got called there frequently are pretty damn good. Okay? Because they're not the most respectable type people staying at these places, right?
Or they're at least, if not called there, they're at least aware of the address because, picking dudes up for this or that, and that address always showing up kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's drunken fights and, all kinds of stuff going on there, altercations,
one dude smoking
disturbing
another
the
dude's
peace.
cigarettes. Yeah.
Yeah. These aren't the type of guys who, they were kind of rough and rowdy type, just trying to get their shit together.
Yep.
Didn't have much money, drunks, didn't have jobs, who knows? But so the cops were definitely familiar with this location and probably dealing with Earlene Roberts on occasion. So I just thought that was an interesting scenario, which could help explain a couple of things, like why Oswald got dropped off so far down the street.
Yeah.
And maybe why Tippit was looking, well, not why Tippit was looking for Oswald, but maybe it added more context to how he was looking for Oswald, because it didn't address it in the story, but maybe as Oswald was walking down the street, or whoever this guy was, he pulled up to the curb and said, "Hey, let me see your ID," because there was an Oswald wallet found at the Tippit crime scene.
Yeah, or two if you, depending on what you read, who you believe.
Yeah. So, and he sees the name of the guy that he's looking for. Well, he goes to get out of his police car real quick and pull his gun, and Oswald, or whoever this person is, gets the drop on him. It makes sense.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just thought it was a good little perspective that I hadn't seen before.
It is, and it's well thought out, I think. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, thank you very much, Rob.
Yes, sir.
Dude, I just have a couple of quick hits myself before we get into emails. We need to let everybody know that there have been 3 recent small document releases recently by the federal government, previously redacted. I mentioned one before. There were actually 3, and want to let everybody know 422 documents, previously redacted documents, were released on April 13th of this year. Another 355 on April 27th. That's where the Chi-Com letter came from. And also on May 11th, 502 were released. And guys, you can research these documents yourself either at the Mary Farrell Foundation website or archives.gov/research/JFK/release 2023. That's archives.gov/research/JFK/release 2023. And like we say, also at the Mary Farrell Foundation, they're already up there at their archive page. Rob, the other quick hits is having to do with a new movie that's coming out, or that's getting ready to go into production. A while back, maybe a year or so ago, I think, we reported on this, right? We had a little blurb about it here on the show.
Oh, yeah. Definitely interesting.
We reported on pre-production of an upcoming Hollywood blockbuster movie, and now we have an update. It seems like things have kicked off. I want to read now from Jefferson Morley's JFK Facts. This is a very recent article. It says, "The wheels turn slowly in Hollywood." Mr. Morley writes, 10 years ago, I reported in JFK Facts that Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright David Mamet was making a movie about the JFK assassination called Blackbird, starring Cate Blanchett. Now, the Hollywood publication Deadline reports that Mamet's film will be called Will Assassination and will star Viggo wait, hold up. What? Let me read that again. Sorry. Now, the Hollywood publication Deadline reports that Mamet's film will be called Will Assassination and will star Viggo God damn it. What?
That's Viggo Mortensen.
No, it hang on, let me read that. It's not my fault, actually.
Hey, Nostradamus, you want to get it together? I ain't got all day.
Dude, it's not my fucking fault. It's how it's written. Rob, I promise. Listen, I'm going to read it very slowly how it's written. It says, now, the Hollywood publication Deadline reports that Mamet's film will be called Will Assassination and will star Viggo Mortensen. Here, let me read it how it should be written. Jesus, Morley does good work, but it's like he's farming the copy editing out to Kennedys and King or some shit. It should say now the Hollywood publication Deadline reports that Mamet's film will be called Assassination, and will star Viggo Mortensen, Al Pacino, John Travolta, and Shia LaBeouf, but not Blanchett. Assassination will retell the fateful murder of John F. Kennedy from the mob's point of view, reimagining his death as a hit ordered by Chicago mob kingpin Sam Giancana as payback for JFK's attempt to undermine the mob after they helped get him elected. That's what Mr. Morley says. So what do you think, Rob? What do you think?
Who knows, dude? I would definitely watch it. That's for sure. How accurate it's going to be, I don't know.
Yeah, it's already got, I hear Charles Nicoletti pretty heavily involved with Oswald in it and that's just from shit you read online. But now, I mentioned Kennedys and King jokingly earlier, but I predicted, speaking of them, to you, like 2 weeks ago, that there's a certain segment of the community that are going to come out swinging, attacking this movie the way the mainstream media did Oliver Stone's JFK way before the movie's ever made, and it's already started. It's already started.
Even wait till it comes out and you hear the vitriol and everything is just going to be aimed at this movie because it's not Oliver Stone's JFK.
I know,
it's not the
man.
definitive assassination movie.
We actually have some audio right here. This is James DiEugenio. When asked
this is not AI.
No, it's not. When asked his opinion on Mr. Mamet's upcoming film, Jim DiEugenio said the following.
I want to talk about me. I want to talk about me.
Well, we knew that was coming. But he did say on an online forum. I found this on an online forum. This is actually pretty interesting. First he says, I am not looking forward to this one at all, and I will be explaining in detail why soon. So expect a 7,000 paragraph diatribe about this movie before they've even started picking fucking shooting locations. Okay? Which is exactly the way many of us in the community complained that Oliver Stone's movie was treated. But my thing about all this is, it's like Stephen King's thing, 11/22/63, right? I was able to suspend disbelief and enjoy it for a good movie, which I probably will this one,
Yeah.
And apparently, dude, in this forum, him and Oliver Stone actually had lunch with David Mamet sometime a few years ago. And listen to what he wrote here. He goes, yes, I had lunch. Oliver and I had lunch with him. He says, see, now the problem is this is a package, which means it has everything in place for it to get sold. I could write Mamet since he gave me his home address, but I do not think he will reply. And anyway, they would just replace him. And so he thinks that if dude gets a snail mail letter from the great Jim DiEugenio, he's going to read it and go, "Wha?" He's going to get all indignant and be like, "Why? This movie must change."
We have to change everything about the movie now.
Because I got a letter from a guy in Burbank. Yeah, sure. Whatever, dude. Whatever. But I'm actually looking forward to it. I think Pacino could probably do a really good job playing Sam Giancana, if you ask me. I'm just saying. More.
Hey, you know what Sam Giancana's nickname was?
It was Momo. It was
It was.
Where the fuck did he go? He's not even in there. I look around to the control room. He's gone. He's fucking gone. I'm sure he'll be back. But
even Momo's got to piss.
Well, he usually tells us. He's usually pretty, he'll let us know.
He's the those guys.
Yeah. I got a little bit from Variety on this film as well. It is written by Mamet and Nicholas Solozzi, who based the script on his great uncle, the Chicago mob boss Sam Giancana, who may have played a significant role in orchestrating Kennedy's assassination. And I'm sure
I just hope there's a scene in the movie with Lauren Hall in a hotel room with Santos Trafficante.
Yes.
And a big amount of money changing hands. That would be awesome.
Who's going to play John Martino? If they put
Who's
a John
play
Martino,
Lauren Hall?
dude, Lauren Hall and John Martino in this movie, or it's not even going to get close. It's not even going to get close. You know. But
This movie has the potential to be good, but will it live up to that?
That's right. We're going to reserve judgment, right? We're not going to be douches about it. But guys, listeners, researchers, people interested in the case, mark this time and date that you heard this, because I'm going to make a prediction right now. I'm going to make a prediction. It hasn't even begun to be attacked by people in the community. That shit hadn't even started. You wait. It's going to get nasty. There will be people. Here's my prediction. Before it's all over with, this movie will be, the allegation will be that it's like an Operation Mockingbird, Hollywood kind of diversion at the point where we're trying to get the JFK files released. It'll be treated that way.
Or it doesn't live up to the Oliver Stone style of, grand conspiracy theory movie,
Dude, that shit's already started. Well, there's nothing in it about Kennedy's Vietnam policy and nothing in it about Clay Shaw, so how could it possibly be any good? That bullshit has already started, man.
That was not AI either, people.
That was not AI. No. That voice was based on a guy you and I used to know. Remember, he was the chairman emeritus of the coalition to publicly embarrass everyone and everywhere over every mistake they've ever made in a public and derisive manner.com. Can you believe I remembered that? But anyway, guys, look for the movie and pay very close attention to what I'm telling you about the criticism that's already started about the movie, and watch how it ramps up, and pay attention to from whence the attacks come, and it'll tell you a lot. It'll tell you a lot. All right, Rob, that's all I had for that. Are we about ready for some emailness?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. Emails. I'm in here manually dropping sound bites because Momo's not back yet. So.
All right, Doug. So,
all right.
Let me reach down here in my bag. Ooh. Sounds like we got a couple in here today. So let me whip out the first one here. Now, some of these, look, people, I love you. But please do not write us emails that take me 10 minutes to fucking read. Okay? That'd be great. Let's keep it brief, short, and sweet, and to the point. That'd be great. Just a suggestion from your Uncle Bob. Yeah. But, I know you all love seeing me struggle and hear me struggle, so here we go.
It's a time thing, though, man. Well,
it's not only a time thing, but, it's like, goddamn, get your point across without writing 8 fucking paragraphs. You know what I'm saying? Like, Okay.
And please copy edit. We saw an example of bad copy editing earlier, so. Rob stumbles enough when he tries to talk. When he's trying to read bad copy, it's even worse. So,
all right. So this this email is referencing Colonel William Bishop. Doug, I'm sure who you're familiar with. He says, "Hi, quick hits. Coming across the dark-complected / Philippe Vidal Santiago through yours and Doug Campbell's podcasting, I thought I'd have more of a look at Colonel Bishop. Just looking at the stuff for the Clarence W. Bishop ID that the CIA had for him using Ancestry sheds a bit more light. You can find him on the 1930-1935 Florida census, 1940 on the census with his adoptive father, George Green Bishop, as head of household. So he's 13 in 1940 and in Port St. Lucie, Florida. So the stuff he came out with about meeting William Colby during paratrooper training in 1940 seems like a porky pie.
Man, I got to tell you, there's something about this William Bishop dude that to me seems like we're barking up the wrong tree.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Or this guy is looking up the wrong bishop.
Yeah. Well, but even then, I'm told that the photograph that's in Dick Russell's book, from someone who would know, someone who knows people in that, exile community or whatever, I'm told that that's not the real William Bishop, even in the Nagel book, in the Dick Russell book, and
he has a
real
horrible
mysterious.
fucking haircut.
Yeah, and is this the same guy that didn't Morley recently talk to him? Or no, that was the other guy, the cat that Gene Wheaton hung out with. Maybe I'm getting confused, but yeah, man, it seems like the William Bishop lead, Clarence William Bishop, and all that. It doesn't seem that promising.
So he says he does actually seem to have joined the U.S. Signal Corps, military intelligence, I think, in 1942, and been in training at Fort Monmouth. He'd elongated his age by 4 years at this point and had married a woman who was nearly 10 years older. The presence of this Clarence Bishop there seems to be confirmed by an article on newspapers.com where you've got a slightly older teenager writes a letter to the Port Lucie paper mentioning his surprise to wake up next to Clarence Bishop from his hometown on his first morning at Fort Monmouth. He registered for the draft in late 44, still using the 1923 birth date. The draft card mentions he'd previously been discharged and was working at a dry cleaner's in Asbury Park. Also from the newspaper site, it looks like he was back in Florida in 47, and his wife was granted a divorce on grounds of desertion. It's interesting that when he's interviewed by Dick Russell, he notes his age is 67 and says he saw his military ID. 67 would match his military age. Russell offers a description of a ruddy 6-footer, and his draft registration card from when he was 17 describes him as ruddy and 5'6". His career changed from jobbing electrician around Jacksonville to radio journalist in San Juan, puts him across the water from the Batistiano Masfer gunrunning shenanigans in the Dominican Republic. Came across a funny coincidence with Tony Sforza as well, given his line of work.
Oh, wow.
After he meets Juanita Castro in Mexico City, he comes back to the U.S. via Buenos Aires, where he'd spent a lot of time since the end of World War II. He'd been staying at Posadas, 1168 in Buenos Aires, the Sweet Home Hotel. A few years later in 64, the same building, which had just been converted to departamentos, there happened to be a Trotskyist group turns up using one of the flats for logistical purposes, including storing explosives. There was an accidental detonation disintegrating much of the building and causing death. This group had recently turned to Guevarism, rural guerrilla land reform, and been to Cuba to become trained and operational as part of Shea's Latin America Continental Strategy. Even though, like most people on the left, he was reluctant to trust Trotskyist, anti-left security services tend to like them, however. One of the guys who did the actual renting at Posadas 1168 had just been arrested and released in Argentina, trying to smuggle arms to an active Guevarist group in the mountains, and also managed to get away on this occasion. The police seem to have initially accidentally admitted that the apartments were under surveillance. The building was owned throughout all this by a guy who'd gone from barman to multimillionaire hotelier and vice president of the National Bank down to the patronage of Evita Duarte Perón's mother and brother. He was on the out with the power brokers because of the association with Perón and been investigated for his financial dealings and the fallout from Juan Duarte's death. Don't think this has much to do with it, but Posadaism is a form of extraterrestrial Trotskyism from Argentina involving shitting in fountains and synthetic camp. What the fuck is this guy even saying, man? What the fuck?
Flag on the play. Flag on the play.
I think I've been punked.
Hey, you know what? Let's continue this email next time.
Hey, fuck you, Nick. Nick Chapman, you dick. You dick. I read all this shit. Okay. That motherfucker. He got me, Doug. He got me.
Man.
Sons of bitches.
I know.
I was like, what is this motherfucker talking about? All this. Okay.
I went on vacations weren't that long.
I know you went and take a piss and then came back and I'm still talking. Well, prepare to do it again. Okay. Let me loosen up some phlegm for this one. Hey, fellas. Love the Quick Hits and Learn Gumming podcast.
Hey, can I say something?
Yeah.
It's a shame we don't get more emails from Judith Very Baker followers because they're usually really short and monosyllabic.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, we get these quasi-intellectual fucks. All right.
All right.
Love what y'all do and how you... I got into the JFK assassination over 20 years ago in high school after a history class on the assassination, but it wasn't until 5 years ago that I've got really infatuated in all the overwhelming evidence, conspiracy, and bullshit of what our government wants us to think versus what actually happened. I am a firm believer from the evidence that Oswald was never in that window, nor did he fire a gun at anyone that day.
Hear, hear.
Hear, hear. The most fascinating but troubling part of this story, and what I want to know, is what exactly happened in Dealey Plaza that day. The shot succession, the locations of where those shots came from, and evidence left behind from those bullets. The plan was a triangular kill zone, but where do those points meet? We'll probably never, we'll probably never know the who, but we can figure out the where. Maybe need an entire show for this. All right, so first of all, let me pause right there.
Yeah.
So just to address a couple things. I think this whole thing of a triangular kill zone is somebody's holier than thou, I'm smarter than you, much not needed theory about this Dealey Plaza being this triangulated kill zone, okay, that the president just drove into.
Okay.
That's just me talking. That's Big Bad Bob talking. Now, as far as the shot succession, we can know some things. Like say, most people say in 4 shots that day, right?
Do you think that that triangulated kill zone, triangulated crossfire, that sort of cliche, it's been around associated with the assassination since it happened for 60 years. Do you think that when we're analyzing and thinking about the case, that we've heard that so much that we subconsciously try to account for 3 snipers?
Well, yeah, that in and of itself, would suggest that there was a quote unquote hit team working together on the ground and in various buildings around Dealey Plaza, which there may have been. Okay?
I think there was a hit team working together in various locations in Dealey Plaza, probably buildings, because here's the thing about the Grassy Knoll shot. When you stand there, it's literally like where the car is just right there. It's just right there. I mean, it's not.
Well, look, the hit team.
If you're leaning over the fence, right? If you're on the fence,
yeah,
and there's people between that rifle, the shock wave is going to knock 30 people down. And it's not like they're ducking because they heard a gunshot. Literally, it's so close to where the limo would have been. I don't see a shot from directly behind the stockade fence on the Grassy Knoll with a high-powered rifle. Do not see that. If you've ever spent any time firing rifles, once you get on the Grassy Knoll, you go, I'm going to stand here with a guy right there and fire a 30-30. You know, and then you start to go, wait a minute, you know? But yeah, he's right. That's like just what I said. We could debate this and talk about this. Could be an entire episode, you know? Probably just on, you could do an episode on Grassy Knoll. You could do an episode on South Knoll. You could do an episode on other floors of the TSBD. You could do an episode on the County Records Building. You know, geez, man, yeah. Yeah, a lot to think about.
You know, theory and the kill zone and all that jazz, that requires a lot of planning to pull off efficiently, right? Now, nobody, until they actually got in the limo at Love Field, knew exactly how the configuration inside the car was going to be. Because even on this trip alone to Texas, at various times, that configuration in the limousine had changed. Sometimes it was Connolly and Kennedy sitting in the back with the two wives in the jump seats. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So nobody would have actually known. Okay, so of course, you know, to do a triangulation of shots, you don't want to put innocent people in the line of fire. So that would require foreknowledge of how the people in the limousine are going to be situated. And without that knowledge, you can't get in the proper place to do that. Now, what if, you know, people were seated in the limo differently? You know, what if the women were in the back and the two guys were in the jump seats? You know, it changes a whole lot of things.
Yep.
You know, what if there were Secret Service agents riding on the back of the limo? It's going to change some things. And, you know, people always say, well, why didn't Oswald fire from the 6th floor sniper nest when he's coming down Houston Street straight at him, right? Well, yeah, while that's a much better shot to take, you know, for the kill.
Yep.
It also, you'd blow up your spot shooting from right there.
In the same way you would if you fired from behind the stockade fence. That's why there'd be no question. I mean, if you fired a 30-30 from the stockade fence, everybody would see you immediately. There'd be no getting away.
Yeah, I mean, the whole plan is to get away, right?
Right.
So you don't want to blow up your spot by taking a shot where the only possible direction that it could have come would have been from this direction. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So once the dude turns onto Elm Street and takes that little curve around and starts going down the hill, well, at that point, shots could have come from anywhere.
Yes.
And people's focus is going to be on the limousine and the president that just rode by. They're not looking backwards. But at that point, when the limo is turning on Houston Street and heading towards the book depository, if whoever was up there would have taken the shot at that point, they would have definitely been seen. You know, because they would have had to be, instead of hiding in the corner, they would have had to be right at the window. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So, yeah, you're probably right. We'll never know the who, but can we figure out the where? Maybe. You know, who the hell knows?
Maybe. We're trying.
Yeah, people have been trying for 60 years to try to figure out where the shots came from.
Dude, there are lots of people every day since the day it's happened who have thought about that very thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People that are 6 feet under who have never figured it out. So was the first shot really a botched shot or a diversion, as many eyewitnesses state? It's sounding like a firecracker for the very first shot.
That may have been the introduce Carcano ammo to Dealey Plaza evidentiary shot. I think.
Yeah, just like a crack, like a sharp crack.
Yeah, because you got to introduce a little bit of Carcano ammo to the crime scene, right? The diversionary shot.
Correct. Sorry, I had to burp there.
Okay.
Did the shot that hit JFK in the neck pass through the windshield first? Has there been a trajectory line connecting those points of impact? Do they line up? And where is the origin of that line? The only train car on the overpass at 12:30 that day were on the north side of the overpass with bystanders in front of it. Is it plausible that it came from the south knoll of the plaza? Well, it's funny you should ask that question, young man.
Yes.
Because actually, I believe this year there are some people that are going to be in Dallas around the 60th anniversary who are going to try this very thing. They are going to attempt to shoot a windshield of similar proportions to the Lincoln windshield, and from various positions, and see how the bullet reacts. Does it go through the window? Does it maintain its line of trajectory? Does it just create a crack? So I think that will help a lot to try to recreate that, firing from different distances and positions. So that should be interesting.
Yeah, really. I didn't know anything about this.
Yeah. I believe Dennis Morissette is trying to head that up this year in Dallas. So
very interesting.
If you'd like to be a part of that, and you might live in Dallas, so you might have some windshields or a Curato rifle hanging around with some bullets, or just any rifle in general, hit him up. All right. So when in the succession and where was the shot fired from that struck Kennedy's back? There's no exit wound to get an angle of trajectory. His back brace could have stopped that round from exiting his torso. I've never heard a mention of his back brace he had on if there's ballistic evidence on it. Yeah, I don't think his back brace was up that high. I think it was more of a lower back brace. And your guess is as good as anybody else's. I've heard, people say that they stuck their finger in the hole there and it only went in like a half an inch.
Yeah, very shallow.
Yeah, very shallow wound.
I have heard it posited that was the result of some really shitty ammunition from the Curato as part of what I was talking about before, like shots to make sure that the Patsy's rifle's ballistics evidence was in the crime scene, contaminate the crime scene with. But that's what I've heard. I'm not saying that's what I think, but I have heard people say that, like probably got a shitty round in the Curato and didn't have much, whoever was up there doing that, and didn't have much power behind the projectile, as it were,
Only much if like you're using a sabot to shoot like Manlick or Curato ammunition out of a 30-aught,
which
quarter-ass rifle,
which is probably possibly what was going on top of the county records building.
Yes. Connolly had 3 entrances and 2 exit wounds. What are the angles of those wounds, and were the shots possibly from the 6th floor location?
I have no idea.
That's more evidence left behind that the DPD doesn't need to plant. What about bystander James Tegg's wound? That bullet missed completely and hit the Elm Street curb down by the overpass. We don't know that it did. It may have been a bullet fragment that hurt old James Tegg. It could have been a chip off of like a curb from a fragment or a piece of the car. It could have been anything. Who the hell knows?
Yeah, man. Could have been one of several things. I agree with Rob.
Yeah. I've briefly heard of 2 unknown people being in the Dowtex building that day, but no other evidence or statements saying who or where in the building they were spotted in. Is it possible any shots came from that building?
I'm sure it's possible.
Yeah, it's possible. In fact, Doug, I should tell you, you remember that guy who was positing that theory about shooting through the 6th floor window from the Dowtex building?
I do. Yes. I get yes, I think, yes, I do.
Well, I indulged him. I didn't tell you about this before, but I indulged him one day. And I was talking to him on Skype, actually, right?
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Fun.
So I'm saying, yeah, he wanted to talk to me about it. I said, okay, let's go. What you got? So he said, well, possibly, the right, somebody could have been shooting with a Curato through the 6th floor window. I said, okay. I said, well, I said, can you prove that that corner window was open? No. I said, well, can you prove that anybody was on the roof of the Dowtex building shooting? No. Do you have any idea who it might have been? No. What's the significance if they were shooting through the window or just to the left side of the building? What difference does it make? It's still going to look like it came from the 6th floor window. Well, I guess you're right. It doesn't really matter, does it? I said, no, not really. End of conversation. I said, if you want to come on my show, bro, you got to fill up an hour at least. I said, so do your homework, keep digging, and come back and see me when you got a little bit more.
Come on back. Come on back. Yeah. Yeah, bro.
Then the famous headshot. We all know the truth of that shooter's location. Do we?
Do we? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Was the Zapruder film altered to show what was really the right rear exit wound, which was altered to the front of his head to have video evidence to make it look as if a shot from the rear? Now, this is all getting into the Zapruder film altercation and the medical evidence, which makes me and Doug both glaze over.
Medical evidence for sure. Yeah. Zapruder film alteration, I'll say it's entirely possible, but I have no concrete proof.
And again, you have real life witnesses at Parkland Hospital who saw what they saw. They all said what they saw. They saw what they saw. So, everybody can be right and everybody can't be wrong. It's just a matter of who you choose to believe. So, good luck figuring that one out.
Yeah.
So, hope you can answer some of my questions, and I can't wait to hear back. Thank you. So there you go, Jonathan. Hope we answered a few of your questions for you.
Thank you for the email, Jonathan. Thank you for listening to Quality Podcasts, my good man.
Yes. And again, keep them brief, short, sweet, and to the point. Hi, Doug and Rob.
Oh, wait, there's more?
Sending a big hello.
Holy shit, how long's this one?
Hi, Doug and Rob. Sending a big hello from Bonnie, Scotland. Oh, I didn't know and all that shite, is what he said. I don't have any fucking idea what that means. Except for the last part. I do know what shite is.
Shite. I do too. Yeah.
Yes. I don't know what.
So what are we shiting about?
No.
What are we shiting about?
I just want to say thank you both for all your work. I listen to both podcasts and obviously quick hits. I am an interior decorator. Well, there you go. Your credibility is out the fucking window.
No, man. No. I really like I love putting rooms together. Like this is going to go here and that's going to go, and this needs to, oh, fuck yeah, dude. It's fun, man. I would have made a
Doug is into the feng shui.
Dude, for real. I would have loved to have been an interior decorator. I would make a goddamn good interior decorator.
As he snaps.
Just
okay.
Like that.
I am a decorator, and I spent the last few months listening to all your output while I'm working. I have always been interested in the JFK case and watched all the films and documentaries I've come across. Hell, I even watched that load of old bullocks with the guy hiding down in the drain.
Dope.
You both are great company, as I am normally working on my own, and I feel like I've got a couple of cool dudes with me as I work. Bart Camp is always an extra bonus. He's always an extra bonus.
Yes, for real.
Bart keeps us on our toes around here, that's for sure. Always some heavy editing after the Bart Camp show.
And we
Bart
get all
said
the...
we can release it all after he passes, so stay tuned.
Oh, yeah, for real.
I just want to say keep up the good work, and it's great to have some well-thought-out analysis of the facts. I have a few questions, but I'll throw this one out for starters. How do you feel about how witness stories change over time? All humans exaggerate and embellish, but it's particularly frustrating in this case. I suppose there's no substitution for contemporaneous statements. Anyway, all the best from me. Down with low nutters and up clarity of thought. Cheers, Graham.
Graham,
Well,
thank
yeah,
you so
thank you,
much
Graham.
for the email, brother. Thank you for letting us accompany you during your workday. I, for one, it humbles me when I hear, like people say, well, I'll listen to you all day long when I'm working. I mean, that's cool, man. That's not something to take lightly.
Right. And he's listening to us while he's trying to figure out what's going to match with that pink couch and those pink drapes. I think that's awesome. I would personally suggest a black and white checkered pillow combination. Maybe a throw rug over here.
Yeah. But to me, for my money, it's always the best when the carpets do match the drapes. Rob.
Amen.
And
I'm a fan of hardwood floors myself. Okay.
I like that shag carpet, baby. But man, thank you, Graham. What was his question again? Oh, changing witness stories.
Right.
Changing witness stories.
Yes.
It's troubling. It's very troubling. But I think it's less troubling when a witness forgets something over the decades versus when they add to over the decades, like Madeline Brown, or when they purposely change, like Antonio Veciana. Their credibility goes out the window. But those are both two very extreme examples. Madeline Brown of adding shit to her story over the years. Good God Almighty, before she passed away, the Dalai fucking Lama was at that Clint Murchison party on the 21st. But
boy, suck his tongue,
dude. I mean, she had Sinatra was there, Ruth Buzzy was there, fucking everybody in the world was at this thing. By the time she died, that's it. But then you got Antonio Veciana, who every time down through the years, more documents related to David Atlee Phillips were released. His story had to change to compensate for that. So, and that's troubling. Those are two extreme examples, but credibility goes down the window. The ones that retain credibility are the ones that steadfastly stand by what they said and it doesn't change. Roger Craig comes to mind.
Yeah. Police are trained for certain things. They're used to certain environments, but you got to put yourself back in the feet and mindset of just your average normal person. Okay, at that time of day, you're in Dealey Plaza, okay? The president's going by in a motorcade. All of a sudden, shots ring out. You watch the president's head blow off into a million pieces. It's utter chaos. It's traumatizing. It's people running and screaming around everywhere. It affects people differently. I believe, like you said, the best recollections are normally the first day affidavits that these people provided back then. Of course, there is a possibility that they may remember some other things after they have time to calm down and reflect and, really try to go back inside their mind and remember what they see or remember what they saw. And it doesn't mean that they're making shit up or embellishing things. Just, and of course there is instances of that. You have it all over the place, look at Gene Hill.
Yeah.
But, some people, like Ruth Payne, her story has never changed in 60 years. As much as we might think it's bullshit, it's never deviated.
It's never deviated, man. We may not believe a damn word she says about many, many things, but we've never been able to catch her in a contradiction.
Right.
Yeah.
And that can't be said for a lot of the witnesses.
Right.
And we all know how bad eyewitnesses can be.
Very
We've
bad.
all seen the videos, where you have 20 people in a room, okay, and somebody comes in the room. It's like a college class. Somebody comes in the room and robs the teacher. They stick a gun in his back, tell him to give me your wallet, and he leaves. And right after that, the teacher asked the class, okay, describe the perpetrator. And you might have 20 different descriptions of the perpetrator, down to, did he have a hat on? Did he have glasses, a mustache? What color was his hair? How old do you think he was? What color were his pants? Were his did he have flip-flops or shoes on? What kind of gun did it look like? It's just, eyewitnesses are so unreliable in the midst of a turmoil, chaotic, traumatizing situation that you're not ready for. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure if hindsight was 50-50, Doug, and I knew on November 22nd, 1963, that the president was going to be shot in Dealey Plaza. And if I went there that day, I would be looking for a whole lot of different things other than me just standing there waiting for the president to come by.
Yeah, you're not there to see a murder. No, you're there to watch the parade.
Right, but if you knew that it was going to go down there, maybe you might be looking. Okay, I wonder where they're going to shoot from. That looks like a good spot over there.
Yeah.
Am I going to get my ass shot off here? Should I move back 10 feet?
Random John Q. Citizen isn't going to go into something like that and look around and go, now, if I were going to assassinate the president, where would I be? No, it just doesn't happen.
Right.
It's a million miles from your mind, I imagine a lot of those eyewitnesses, even, for a while, several minutes after the assassination, were like, what the hell just happened? For sure.
Yeah. It's a great email, man. Keep on decorating over there in Bonnie, Scotland, and tug my bollocks. Okay. Next up, an email from Mike Bullard. Hey, fellas. I'm still loving all your podcasts. Well, you better be, motherfucker. I'm listening to RFK Jr. on Russell Brand's podcast talk about JFK's assassination, and I'm a bit put off by the certainty with which he speaks. Examples. Oswald was a radar operator in charge of U-2 flights.
That's wrong.
Now, look, yeah. Look,
Next.
As much as we would love RFK Jr. to be the most prolific and knowledgeable JFK or RFK assassination expert in the world, he's not. Okay? He's just not. A lot of his life, probably he never, ever wanted to even entertain or look into any of this shit. Because it's his immediate family. It's his uncle. It's his father. It's his other uncle. It's his cousin. It's his other cousin. Bad shit happens to the Kennedy family. So he's not going to be 100% correct on everything. Okay. He does he does know a lot. Not everything that he
and
thinks.
What was Oswald's rank when he was over there?
Private.
Yeah, they're not in charge of anything.
Or private first class.
Private first class are not even in charge of themselves.
Right.
All right? No.
He's also said that Oswald was a false defector sent by Angleton as part of a mole hunt. He's just repeating other people's theories.
Well,
at this point.
No. Hey, all credit to Mr. Kennedy because he's reading Newman.
Yeah.
Okay, he's reading Newman.
Yeah. Des Moines Shield was the CIA asset who picked Oswald up from the airport upon his return from the Soviet Union and got him a job at the book depository. Well, there's a lot wrong with that statement.
Oh, boy. Everything is wrong with that statement.
Oof. Here's another one.
Every sentence. Or every word of that sentence.
Right. Except for Des Moines Shield. David Adley Phillips was Oswald's CIA handler. He credulously cites E. Howard Hunt's deathbed confession.
that is wrong.
That is wrong.
That's very wrong.
I like the idea of a guy who might take on entrenched power, but I'd hope for someone who applied a little more rigor before arriving at conclusions. This dude seems to default to believing every nefarious theory, not just on JFK. Just wondering your thoughts on this guy. Warm regards, Mike.
I wish him all the luck in the world, man. If he wants to be president, then I hope he gets what he wants, you know?
I will say, if this guy keeps talking all this shit that he's talking out there on social media, he might not live very long. He might be seeing the same fate as his uncle and father. And I'm not saying that he should. I'm just saying...
You know what? He would probably be something akin to what happened to his uncle.
Here's just an example of something that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. tweeted. Okay?
All right.
Here's how I will dismantle the surveillance state. All right, when you start off what you're saying with that statement, okay, you're talking about the NSA, the CIA, the surveillance state. That encompasses a lot of high-level government shit, okay? He says, I will replace the officials that have been instructing tech companies to censor users. I will direct the Justice Department to stop prosecuting whistleblowers and start investigating the crimes they expose. I will rescind administrative policies that surveil Americans' communications. In the long term, it is about forging an entirely different relationship between people and government based on respect. Hashtag Kennedy 24. So...
Well, I would say to that, all politicians, when campaigning, make many promises that are all easier said than done. He's no different. He's no different than any other candidate in that regard. I think. You know.
Yeah, I mean, look at all the promises like Trump made. It's a lot harder to get things done. I mean, you can say it all day long.
We're going to completely rebuild this country's infrastructure. And then in 2016, they were going to have infrastructure week, or 2017. I'm still waiting on that shit, you know?
Yeah, where's that wall at?
Yeah. But all politicians make grandiose promises like that. And Robert Kennedy's not going to be able to sit down first day in the Oval Office and write an executive order, and all of that's going to be done.
Well, get this one, Doug. Here's another Robert F. Kennedy tweet.
Okay.
Hold on. You're going to love this one. Moving forward, if I'm elected president, I will dismantle the CIA and scatter it to the winds, much as my late uncle promised to do. The CIA represents... no, I'm just kidding. He didn't say any of that, folks.
I was about to say, well, I agree with him, you know.
Well, I do too. But,
yeah.
And we could probably AI that somehow to make him say that. But, you know, that's the kind of stuff that he's been tweeting out and putting on social media. Not too awfully different from that. He's been making a lot of loud, boisterous promises.
Now,
he said he's going to investigate into the assassination, make sure all the everything is released.
I am all for advocating for the things that we as a research community want and need to see. The transparency, the files,
right,
the truth. I'm all about advocating for the things that we want, right? But I would caution him that we as a community are a very small sliver of the populace. So, you know, there's a lot more people out there that he's going to need to appeal to than just us. So I would caution him to...
Yeah, he may want to chill out a little bit.
Well, yeah, man. You know, the debt ceiling, Social Security, inflation, those are the things that everybody else wants to hear the president say he's going to address. I'm thinking,
and I'm sure he'll get there. It's just he's garnering I just want to hear him on Joe Rogan. Okay, when that happens, I'll listen. And,
No. Mark Maron.
Yeah.
Fuck Joe Rogan. Mark Maron.
But definitely check out the Mike Tyson interview. It is fucking classic.
I'm gonna check it out.
All right,
dude, for sure.
Our last email comes from
From a who?
a doctor.
Oh, cool.
Dear Robert and Douglas, I believe the lovely Ruth Payne and the gorgeous Marina Oswald are still alive. Do you think there is any danger they will open their kimonos on all they know about the assassination before they pop their clogs, as we say over here in the UK? Thank you, Dr. Haywood Jablomi.
I don't, probably not, but going back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show, there are a lot of things I wish both of them would say, for sure. But I don't, Haywood, I wouldn't hold your breath there, buddy.
Dr. Haywood Jablomi. Thank you for your email.
Not
sir.
today. I'm got shit to do. Sorry. Haywood Jablomi.
All right, that's it. That's it for emails today, Doug. And if you, listener, would like to have your emails read right here on the show, just like Haywood Jablomi's, feel free to hit us up at quickhitsjfk@gmail.com, and we will do it. Remember, take it easy on your boy. Keep him short, sweet, and to the point. You're more than welcome to open up a website and write a 30-page blog about your ideas. That's great. Just not in the email section. That's all.
Yeah. This is not a PhD. This is not a PhD level course. You know what I'm saying? No dissertations.
Yes.
We appreciate
I have to read
you,
all
but
these things. My God.
we love the listeners and the emailers, and we appreciate them. But you guys got to meet us halfway and be reasonable, right? Right. Hell, I got up 5 o'clock to come here. Fuck. Okay. Well, all right, Rob. Dude, I think that's about, if that about covers it, why doesn't Momo start the music and you tell everybody where they can find your content?
All right. If you enjoy this show, then you will enjoy the Lone Gunman Podcast. And you can find that anywhere good podcasts are listening to, Spotify, iTunes, Apple, wherever the hell. You can follow along on TikTok and Twitter at the Lone Gunman 7. And make sure to support my new cityhotsauce.com. Find yourself some hot sauce you like, make a purchase, and in the checkout, enter the code GUNMAN, that's GUNMAN, for 20% off your entire order. It will be much appreciated. That is a good way to support the show.
Awesome.
And get some damn good hot sauce in your body.
You need that spicy stuff.
That's right.
Rob likes his hot sauce like he likes his women.
But not so hot that you can't eat them.
Boom, bang, there you go. Absolutely. And, guys, you can catch
in the immortal words of...
What? Huh?
Dago. In the immortal words of Dago.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, go ahead, Doug. Please tell us.
Oh, you're not going to tell us the immortal words of
done.
Dago? Okay. You can catch my show. It's not near as funny as this one, but you can listen anyway. The Dallas Action, presented by Wall Street Window, a podcast featuring in-depth study research of the people, places, things, events, and ideas surrounding the conspiracy that assassinated John F. Kennedy and its subsequent cover-up. Like this show, available most anywhere you find quality podcasts. Another fine podcast from Drop D Podcast Productions, in the heart of Music Row, Music City, USA. So, for Rob Clark and for Momo Scaranucci, this is Doug Campbell inviting you, dear listener, to tune in again next time when Upon being questioned as to how well he knew David Ferry, we'll hear Clay Shaw say,
I saw his balls.
Whoa. Well then, we are out.
Peace.
Love.